Hi, I'm Lal Dagash. Welcome to the first Kuffar experience. I'm here with ex-Muslims, Jenn and Joe, also known as Skepto and the Last Pharaoh. Um, today, I should say first, today is April 24th, 2016, and it's the anniversary of the Armenian Genocide. So it's good to bring that up whenever possible because it's probably one of the more major yet least well-known historical events in the last century.
Yeah, I had, first of all, hi. I had no idea about the whole Armenian genocide thing unless I read your article. I just knew there was something called Armenian.
Really? Until you read the article? Really?
Yeah. I knew that there was something called the Armenian genocide. I just didn't know what it is, or even if it's like a real thing. And no one's talking about it. I've never heard anyone mention it at all. Actually, never. I just heard the term, and that was it. It was like, so yeah.
So Joe is in Egypt, so it's not something that is brought up in your part of the world, even, right?
Oh no. Maybe, just maybe, if there's like a TV kind of host or something, he wants to maybe like share on Turkey for a minute or two, or it'll just piss off Erdogan or something. Maybe he'll bring it up, but he just bring it up casually. Yeah, they killed a bunch of Armenian motherfuckers, and that's it. No one really just knew what it is, or go into details about it, or even what happened. They just say it to piss off the Turkish ambassador or something. That's it.
So it's only like mentioned in passing, by name only.
Yeah. Just to piss them off, or just if Turkey maybe said some shit about Egypt, which they are always doing these days. So they will just bring up the Armenian genocide just to like.
Yeah, well, it's good to bring up historical events that are kind of lost in time. The last 100 years we focus on sometimes very pivotal events only. That are significant in themselves, but definitely not the only thing that happened. For example, the Jewish Holocaust or the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But even during World War II, a lot of people, I've met people who you say Nanking to them, and they don't even know what you're talking about. So it's good to bring up subjects that are kind of lost in time and lost in space. So I first wanted to explain what we will be doing here. This was not my idea. This was the idea of an ex-Muslim group that exists on Twitter. And so they came to me with this idea of hosting kind of a show, podcast, hangout, for ex-Muslims to explain their experiences that they've had in the past, because I did understand what they mean from watching a lot of videos with a lot of ex-Muslims on YouTube. You do get the perception that there's just a lot of, so you were an ex-Muslim, when did you lose your faith? How did you lose your faith? Did you read the Quran? Did you go to science? What was the experience with your family and community? Did they kind of kick you out of the house? So it's very kind of, people want to know certain things about being an ex-Muslim. They don't. But I think what happens is people don't know what to ask exactly. And I also don't necessarily know what to ask. So I kind of want these guys to kind of let them kind of rip into it and share their crazy experiences unto me. And I'm happy to host it.
You've got like the best two, actually. You've got like two of the people with the most like insane stories. So I think we're gonna be all right.
So before we get to Pharaoh, Jenn, can you tell me a little about like what was the idea for this and where it came from?
Well, a lot of the stories that you hear, it's not focusing on the emotional side of it, and we all have these crazy stories, these things that have happened to us that people that haven't been in a Muslim couldn't really understand, even the Western Muslims. But more so like
especially
the people.
Muslims,
I mean, they couldn't understand how crazy it is, and not only that, but I was really curious. I tweeted out about how many of us were extremists, and how many people were able to walk away from it being extremists. I was under the impression that most people weren't extremists, but I was wrong. Most people that I've talked to had pretty extreme views. Not that most of Islam is pretty extreme, but I just found that we all had some really interesting stories to share, so I thought it was important to get that out there.
I actually saw your tweet. I saw the tweet you did, and I was actually very surprised too, because I always thought that most like ex-Muslims were like me. I was never really that religious. Like I told you, I maybe was very religious for like a month, and it ended like horribly. But yeah, I was never like that. So that was my impression. I thought that all like ex-Muslims were like.
You were really religious for 1 month?
Yeah, for 1 month. Yeah, I went to the mosque.
I bet. Let me guess. You met a really, really religious girl. Right?
No.
No.
No. I don't run in circles with religious girls. So if you're a religious girl, we would never meet. And even if we met, you would hate me immediately. Just like off rip, you will just see me and you will hate me just immediately. So that I was like starting to like. I think I was 16. I think I think I was 16 or something. And to be honest, the thing that drew me to the mosque is the call prayer. It was like that particular mosque had like a guy with like a very good voice, so I would hear it.
Oh, the Adhan you're talking about?
Yeah, it was like it was like a kind of an opera thing. You hear it and you just get like emotional or something. I don't know why. It just drew me in. So I started going to the mosque. And of course, my father was always on my ass about like praying. So I was just like 16, and I wanted to like let him give me the car so I can drive it. So I thought, hey, I'm gonna go to mosque. Maybe I score some points with my dad. So that was the whole thing. So I went to the mosque. I started going. You hear the stories. You hear the thing that Muhammad did. You hear the miracles and all that, and it was cool. And you get like a feel of like we're doing something here together. It's just like a feeling of like community or something. I don't know. So I liked it for a month. Then I started like feeling that we are like the people there like feel they're better than everyone for some reason. So they feel like they always talking shit about people that are not praying, or people that. So we are here. We are better than everyone.
But and especially do they think they're even better than other Muslims who don't come to mosque?
Oh yeah, especially than other Muslims. Yeah. Especially than other Muslims.
Those are some of the most judgmental people I've ever met, or Muslims judging other Muslims.
Yeah, and they're making jokes and stuff about like people not praying, and that. Dude, one of them just like basically implied that if you're not praying, you're not a real man, you're not pleasing your wife or something. It was like, what? So I started like getting like, yeah, I want to go play some football. I want to go just see the girl that always standing in the balcony. There was some hot girl living next to the mosque, always standing in the balcony. I was a fucking disgusting kid. Anyway, so. I started like, yeah, that's not. I don't know what happened. It just took me like a month to, the call to prayer thing stopped like affecting me. I heard it so many times. So of course, what happened was when the guy that is running the mosque, like starting to notice that I'm not like showing up 5 times a day, he was like, so what's happening, man? So I was like, I was just playing football or something. So to make the long story short, he was convinced that I was possessed by the devil, and that the devil was like just pulling me away from the mosque and like affecting my thoughts. So he actually did like performance like a kind of an exorcism on me to like kick the devil out of my head or something.
Okay, so hold on a second there. So exorcisms exist in Islam?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they're like commonplace, man. Just go on YouTube, but you have to know Arabic. But if you go on YouTube and just like search, like the Arabic word for exorcism is like it means like kicking out jinns.
So they're not jinns with a D, right?
No, J. It's not in English. You gotta type it in
Isn't the
Arabic.
writing with of jinns in Islam with the DJINN?
No, you spell it like that. You pronounce it like Jinn, but in Arabic
Oh yeah,
it has
yeah.
no D in it.
Oh,
It
in
has
Arabic.
no.
Okay.
In Arabic it's like GN, just Jinn. It's not no. There's no D or
But
N.
sometimes it's spelled with a D at the beginning for some reason in English.
Yeah, just like because the Arabic letter for G is like G. It like has kind of a D sound in the beginning.
So is in principle an exorcism is basically the same as Catholicism, that a demon has taken over your body or the devil has taken over your body and they need to get it out? Basically the same thing?
Yeah, and most of the time it will end by they're just beating the shit out of you.
What?
That's like.
Did
Yeah,
they ever tell
because-
you what whether your jinn was Catholic or Jewish or Muslim?
No.
Christian?
They didn't like get that far. But yeah, in
Aw.
Islam, like demons can be Christian, Muslim, atheist, demons.
Oh, demons have
and,
different
like-
religions?
Yeah. They can
and different nationalities and
What?
different like and you can have like you can have like a Jew demon from like 6 years ago who doesn't even speak Arabic, or like he speaks like Aramaic or something, and you can have like an American jinn, like Christian American jinn, maybe it's no other like bullshit like story.
Like the imam that converted the 10,000 Jewish jinn in the basin in Pakistan that you told my parents. Yeah, those like that.
Wait, what is this? An imam?
An imam
converted?
he told my parents that he converted 10,000 jinn all at the same time. They were all in a basin. I don't know what that had to do with anything in Pakistan, and he was proud of this, and he was bragging to my parents. So yeah, and they were all Jewish.
Yeah, I actually the problem is I understood while he was doing what he was doing exactly what happens, because what they do. Look, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the symptoms of someone who's possessed is they claim that they don't want to hear the Quran being read to them. If you read, because they believe that demon, if you read Quran to a demon, he catches on fire and start burning, so he's like suffering. So what they claim is, if I started reading Quran to you and you start getting uncomfortable, or like you want me to stop, that's it. You're like definitely possessed now. Yeah,
Then I'm
you're fucked
definitely
now.
possessed. I'm possessed then.
Yeah.
So if you want to
And
leave
what
the mosque quickly, you're possessed.
Oh yeah. So the more he start reading loudly into my ear and just start being like a fucking, he start getting in my face and just like tapping me in the shoulder and shit. So of course I get agitated, but
Right.
I understood not to, because I knew that if I started like telling him to get the fuck off me or something, then all the people in the mosque will just start like joining in, and they'll just start tying me up, because I saw it happen a lot of times. So I knew not to like get too much. Like I just sat there and took it, because I knew if I showed any sign of like, dude, get off me, it's gonna be like a big deal.
So
what happens is,
the more if you fought against it, the more they would think that there was a demon in you. So there was no winning, kind of like this.
No, and they actively try to piss you off. They're actively trying to like get in your space, get in your face, start like just screaming in your ear. I'm telling you, man, even if he's not reading the Quran, I wish someone would do that experiment. If you get someone and strap him in and just start shouting in his ear and tapping him in the shoulder and get in his face, regardless of what you're saying to him, he's gonna have some problems. But I also believe that some people are very impressionable, that they start to believe that they're possessed, and they start like shaking and jumping up and down and start talking in tongues and shit.
Well, that's what happens to a lot of Catholics, I think, is that they push the idea into the person's head that they're possessed until they start acting like they're possessed.
Look, man, I'm telling you, I was sitting there, and for a moment I thought to myself, dude, I was just so mad, because I really was uncomfortable. So in my head I was starting to think, dude, am I really possessed? The idea actually got into my head, I actually started believing that maybe I'm possessed, man, because I'm really nervous and I really like uncomfortable. I want to get the fuck out of here. I'm not cool, and I need to like go like now. So I actually started thinking for a moment that I was actually possessed. So if that happened to me, imagine that could because I was always like stubborn-headed. I was never like easily impressionable. So imagine that happening to someone who's like
Younger and
that
more
you can like
impressionable.
yeah, and no, some people are just impressionable, man. Some people are
Hmm.
just some people like therapy works for some people because they're impressionable. That's what I believe. If you just talking to someone and you actually start like changing their personality, that's like that to me means like you're impressionable. So imagine that happening to someone younger, more impressionable, like have a weaker personality. I actually believe that if that happened to someone else at that time, they would have started like jumping up and down, and speaking in tongues and screaming and stuff, just like by like persuasion, just like they put the idea in your head that you're possessed, and they start like pissing you off with the screaming in your ear, and when you start like having a reaction, you yourself start believe that maybe you're possessed. So that was the last time I ever stepped foot in a mosque like voluntarily. That was it.
So
That
this is
was
like
like 20,
Islamic gaslighting.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was over for me. It was over. I think I went into a mosque like 3 more times, and it was all related to death because when Muslims die, you have to like take their body and go to the mosque and pray over it before you bury him. So that was it. My grandmother died. I went. My aunt died. Someone else I knew died. That was it. Just people dying. So I have to go. I cannot go. So that was it. But other than that, I never like step foot in a mosque ever again.
Oh, since then you never stepped in a mosque?
Yeah, that was like 16 years ago or something. Yeah. In
Wow.
the last 16 years, I went into the mosque like I told you, like 3 or 4 times, and it was just because someone died. That was it.
So what about your family? Like, is your family really religious?
Yeah, we look. They're not really religious. They're like moderate Muslims. You know, the typical they're like the typical Christian family. They pray, they fast in Ramadan, they they pay like the charity kind of thing whenever they can. But other than that, they're not really that like hardline or hardcore. My father is like kind of. He's always would like pushing me about the praying thing, and the more he pushed, the more I was just like, no, it's not, no, I'm not gonna do it. He would actually force me to pray in front of him. It's like, go now, just pray. I'm sitting, just pray here, and I would just stand there and start kneeling and going up and down, and I would say nothing. So I'm doing the work, so might as well just pray. No, I'm in my head. I was singing or just doing something else. I was that like resistant to the idea of someone pushing like
Talk
praying on
about
me. So when Muslims pray, you have to like stand and first like read a verse of Quran and then just bend over and then get up and then get on your knees like and kneel and stuff, like do that like 3 or 4 times, and every time you have to read some Quran and some shit. So
It is a
I
pain if
was
you have bad
like,
knees.
I don't know if
yeah,
you
it's like
I don't know if you guys ever seen this, but I used to live in Asia, and I went to many Buddhist temples. And I don't know if you guys have ever noticed the similarity between how Buddhist monks pray and how Muslims pray.
I never noticed that, but I do notice
Yeah.
that the Muslim prayer has a lot in common with all of like pagan prayers.
Yeah, well,
The
I mean,
kneeling,
like
like
even a lot of these areas, like you see these old Buddhist statues in Afghanistan. Who
yeah,
knows where else the Buddhism was before Islam kind of invaded? But there was definitely tons of religions around around Muhammad at the time. And
yeah.
I was wondering because Muslims don't pray the way Christians pray,
No.
which I
No, no,
find
no.
interesting. But they do pray the way Buddhists pray very similarly. Like Buddhists also like they get up, they kneel down, and while they're doing a prayer, and it's repetitive kneeling and standing.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Oh, you guys didn't know that? Yeah.
Mm-mm.
No, I didn't know that Buddhists prayed that. I knew that pagans, people who worship like statues and stuff, did that, and I do notice that because at the time, in the time of Muhammad, the whole of the Arabian Peninsula was pagan. So they prayed the exact same time. Actually, they prayed at the Kaaba. The Kaaba that Muslims like go around right now was actually like a pagan temple,
Yeah,
and they
it
did.
was a pagan temple for many different religions, but
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad decided, no, this is the house that Abraham built. He
Yeah, which is
decided he just
bullshit.
he just made that up. He's like because it
Yeah,
was an important temple for other pagan religions, so to
yeah,
kind of associate those pagan people to bring them into Islam, he said, oh no, this is actually the house that Abraham built.
yeah.
But the pilgrimage to the Kaaba was going on for a long
Oh
time
yeah, oh yeah,
before
yeah.
Islam existed,
And
and
people
people
It's a
from
and
smart
different
dude.
religions were going there.
yeah, talk about like cultural appropriation, man. That's some cultural
Yeah.
appropriation for your ass right there. So yeah, he's just like, yeah, that's us now. And
So Joe, how do you think Muslims would react if some other pagan religion said, hey, can you rent out the Kaaba for us to go pray to a different god? How do you think they
oh,
would react to that?
dude, that would
They
be
would lose
actually,
their shit.
yeah, man, that would be something funny to watch, just to see some Saudi fuckers like get riled up. That would
Their
be
heads
cool.
would explode.
I'd love
Oh
to
yeah,
see that.
oh yeah. But yeah, the praying thing. First of all, it's a fucking hassle. You have to like get up and down, get up and down, get up and
It's
down.
a
So
total of,
you
I
have,
think, isn't it 17 prayers total?
it's 5. It's like 5. You mean like 17, like kneeling and standing kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Prostrate.
I think so
Prostration.
because
17.
yeah, you have like 4 and whatever, and then 4 at 8, 3, then
Well, you've got
like
fard, so and then you do have the fard prayers, but if you do sunnah, you actually do more than the 5.
oh yeah,
If
then
you're
there's
really
something
good
called
Muslim.
the
There's not just the
Nawafil
5,
thing.
more.
Oh yeah, people just get into this shit, man.
But you
People,
pray 5 times. You're supposed to pray 5 times a day, right?
oh yeah, more than 5 actually, but just
But
like
that seems
minimum
like a
5.
lot to me. Doesn't that take time
Dude,
out of your day?
And what about
there-
tasbih with the beads all day long with the beads?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Um,
subhanallah, 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 subhanallah. Yeah, yeah. Come on, man, give me a fucking break, dude. Give me a break, man. Actually, I heard the theory from a guy. He's an Egyptian atheist who lives in Germany right now. He's an author. He's called Hamid Abdul Samad. He's actually awesome. It's great. So I heard the theory that he said he actually read the whole. I think he read every single book about Islam and Hadith and the Sirah and the stories. He read everything. So he's very well versed. So he says that Muhammad actually invented the prayer thing as a kind of like an intelligence operation because he felt like there was people like conspiring like around him and he wanted to leave Islam. People were just like starting to get like, dude, is this guy like he's gonna just start raping and killing people and shit? So he was like, he was feeling like the ranks were like getting like not like he was getting worried. So he invented the prayer thing 5 times a day, and he just like spread them out through the whole day because he wanted to make sure that his big like military advisors and his like assistants or like his like right hand men are always near to him, so they don't have a chance to, for example, like travel to another city, have a meeting with that guy or with that guy, conspire, plan some shit. So he made that the 5 times a day thing just to make sure that they are present 5 times a day around him, just to keep tabs on everybody. And he actually made a hadith saying that you have to pray in the mosque. So the praying at home thing, no. If you pray at home, I will. If it wasn't like, if it was up to me, he said, I would go and burn the houses of everyone.
Is
who's
that
praying
where
at
that
his home.
comes from? That you have, because the men all have to pray in the mosque, or at least it's strongly pushed. I did not
Like
know
I
where that
said,
came from.
yeah, that was a hadith. He said that if it was up to me, meaning not to Allah, if it was up to me, I would go and burn down the houses of everybody who's praying at their house. So basically,
but within the lifetime of Muhammad, that before Muslims used to pray to Jerusalem, and then
yeah, Yeah.
within his lifetime. He's like, now we're praying towards Mecca
Yeah.
now.
Psych.
That is here right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the praying thing, they were 50.
50 what?
50 times a day.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
50
So that's
times a
like
day?
that's my favorite con artist story about Islam. He sounds like a used car
This is
salesman.
the
So
best
what?
story
If
ever.
you had to
Yeah.
pray 50 times a day, that's all you could do.
No, but no, this is the best story
No,
though.
no, no.
This is
Listen,
that's what he
yeah.
started
So-
with. But listen to this. This
Yeah.
is amazing.
This is, I'm telling you, he's like an insurance salesman or like a timeshare salesman, kind of like a sleazy salesman. This is what he did. So he came up one day with the idea that I told you, that he wanted to keep tabs on everyone. But people back then, just like Christians, they prayed whenever. If you want something, you can pray whenever you want to pray. You just pray. There's no like time limit. So what he did was, he knew that if he just sprung up 5 times a day on people who they would like pull back. So this is what he did. He came up one day and told them, okay, so Allah wants us to pray 50 times a day. So people were like, what? We have like work, man. We have to go to the market. We have women to rape. What are you talking about? There's no time for this. So he was like, okay, just give me 1 minute. He just got back into the house, like 5 minutes, and just he came back. Okay, I talked to Allah. It's cool. It's 5 now. I got you like a discount. So now it's 5. So people were like, "Oh yeah, thank you, man. That was some real shit, man. Good looking out." And they would just accepted it. So he actually, at first there were 50. So just imagine. Now this is bullshit, right? Because you thought about it, 50 times a day. That means like 2 times every hour. So that means that you're not doing anything. You're not even gonna have time to rape everybody. You're not gonna even have time to fuck your slaves. There's no children. The human race is over. There's no work, no economy, no nothing. You're not gonna even have time to rape and pillage another village or like go conquer another city. There's not.
There always needs to be time for that.
Yeah, so you know that this is bullshit. You know that Allah never told them that. So the fact that some Muslims believe that is amazing to me. Because if you're a God and you told me to pray 50 times, then you know that this is not true. You know that that didn't happen. Because 50 times a day, that means you're done. You're not going to do anything. So, and people just believe it, man. They actually love him for it because he got it in the discount.
That's like scratching the surface of crazy beliefs. Remember the Zamzam water and putting verses from the Quran in it and believing that it heals all? And there's crazy stuff.
Zamzam water?
Zamzam water.
What is Zamzam water?
Oh, yeah.
It's water from Saudi.
You take that one, yeah.
What?
Like we had this when we first talked the first time in the long conversation we had. We started talking about Zamzam water because my ex-mother-in-law used to put Quranic verses into water and force us all to drink it, and that was supposed to be healing. You know, if any of us were sick, or she thought that I was the white devil because everything I did was wrong. So it was supposed to cure all, and it has to be Zamzam water, and Zamzam water is like bottled from Saudi, but people believe it has special healing properties. Like people pay a lot of money for it. Yeah, it'll cure anything, and but the Quranic verses. Your story is funnier though about the Quran in the water with your girlfriend.
Oh yeah, man, I had a girl once.
So wrong. It's so funny.
Yeah, she thought that we were having problems because like maybe some I don't know what she was thinking, but one day she just like came out and just gave me like 4 like fold up pieces of paper that had like writings on them, and we were supposed to like put them in water and then drink the water, and then we would have no problems anymore. So that bitch was gone. So yeah, that was amazing. But the Zamzam water thing, it's a well. It's like a natural spring in Saudi Arabia next to the Kaaba, I think. And people believe that water would just cure cancers, depression, like diseases, everything. If you have like some, Saudi Arabia actually had to issue a law limiting the amount of water that people were bringing on airplanes or like taking out because they were weighing down the airplanes. Because people would go to Saudi Arabia and get nothing, just come back with like 20 or 50 like 4-liter jugs of Zamzam water, just water. just to shower with it, to put it, to make tea with it.
There are rich people that will only ever use Zamzam water for everything. Everything.
Yeah, yeah, and they actually believe it really, not just maybe it will cure you. They believe dude, there's scientific like papers on like in Muslim like universities about the Zamzam water and how it is like, oh, it has like an exceedingly like high amount of like zinc or whatever, and oh, it has like a lot of minerals. This is not found anywhere else, and minerals are linked to like cancer treatments. It's just a lot of bullshit. It's water, man, and it tastes like shit even. It doesn't even taste like good.
If I can interject here, so Muslims go to Mecca. They think they can get cured by the Zamzam water, right? And that's harmful to them because they think they might be cured from cancer from the water instead of getting real treatment. And the water can be found in the United States, and it's used by the U.S. military. Therefore, the U.S. military is to blame for those people dying of cancer and taking Zamzam water. Boom, Chomsky.
Yep. Fuck white people. Yeah. No,
always the whiteys.
Yeah, they don't think they will get cured. They know that they'll get cured. People are just like saying, dude, if only I can go to Saudi Arabia and get some Zamzam water. Dude, if someone came back from Saudi Arabia from the Hajj and got you like a jug of Zamzam water, basically you're in debt to them forever.
Forever, literally.
So this is a big deal. The Zamzam water is like, it's a big thing. And wait, what is the Zamzam water comes from like a well there in Mexico?
Yeah, it's like a natural spring near the Kaaba. Yeah.
And why is it special?
Because it's near the Kaaba.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's all you need.
Well, the Kaaba, like they believe it, like it's special because it's like the birthplace of humanity for the Semitic people, right? Which
includes and Muhammad's buried there.
And Muslims and
he's buried there too. He's buried there. Muhammad's buried.
I thought Muhammad flew up into the sky on a horse.
No. That was like in his heyday, man. He died later. Yeah,
he flew on the horse well before he died. Come on, Lalo.
Oh, yeah. I thought that was the last that was seen of him.
No, that was in his like cowboy days when he was like.
Oh, that was that's just a thing he did on a Tuesday.
Yeah, he just went to his like friends one day and told them, you'll never believe this. I was. I have the craziest story. You guys are gonna lose your shit. But yesterday I was hanging with Moses, Jesus, Allah. I was in space. Shit was crazy.
Now, there's a caveat. I was drinking, but I swear it's true. I swear.
Oh yeah. And the flying horse, man, and it was like wings. The flying horse wings reach from the Kaaba to Jerusalem.
It wasn't even drinking. Who knows what they were smoking, right?
That's how we came up with the rivers of honey in Jannah. Because
he saw it.
Imagine rivers of honey.
Jesus. He saw the rivers of honey and saw the throne of Allah, and he saw Jesus. Basically, look, it was like, I swear, it was like exactly like, dude.
That dude got a hold of some shrooms or some LSD.
No, it was exactly like, look, you guys don't think I'm cool, but I was just with Moses and Jesus, and they say I'm the best guy ever. He actually told them that. He actually told them that he met Jesus and Moses and Abraham or whatever, like a lot of like prophets, and he told them that every single one of them told him, Muhammad, you are the fucking shit. You're like the best guy ever.
That's it. You're done.
And
Argument
you
over.
are like, and you are better than every one of us. You are better than me. Jesus told them, you're better than me. You're better than Moses. You're better than every one of us.
I swear, guys.
So, but the funny thing is that these stories are told even today. Like, there's no year that goes by that somebody doesn't try to convince someone else of some crazy
No,
story.
no, 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 dude, you don't understand. It's a national holiday.
No, I understand, but I'm trying to think like why is it that even at that moment those people around Muhammad believed him? But I think it has to do with like there are certain people in history that you can find that are just so charismatic about how they say something, and they say it so well and so convincingly. And those people, they still exist today. Like, there's certain preachers or world leaders who are just
Explain my ex-mother-in-law.
It's not about how crazy what you're saying, like how crazy it is. It's
actually
just
the more crazy, the better. Actually,
no, my ex-mother-in-law is an educated woman. She's a psychiatrist. She's just very, very educated, and I told you guys this. She told my children not to drink the water because Jews put something in the water to put us all under some sort of mind control. We're all zombies for Jews. This is an educated woman whose people's lives are in her hands. She prescribes medication, and she's telling my children this with a straight face. How?
My mom actually is a college graduate. She has like a master's degree, okay, and she totally believes in the Zamzam water thing.
Yeah, they all did. Yeah.
So how do you guys evaluate that a person can be very well educated, have a college degree, understand very complicated things about science, or be intelligent, having read things.
Dude, my father is basically a genius. My father is highly intelligent. He's like not normally intelligent. He's like close to genius. He's very smart. He's not an idiot. My father is really like good, and he is also a college graduate, has a lot of degrees. He's like very successful guy. He's like intelligent. He's an intelligent person. He's basically the only guy I knew that can come. I think can like when I was younger. Of course, I thought he was like the smartest guy ever, and I still think he is. But I just think he's an idiot at the same time, because he really believes in that shit. To answer your question, I think because people know nothing else, and the option that this is all bullshit was never introduced to them. So the option is not even on the table.
Flips though for people. Like what is it? Well, you were never that.
Do you think it's like it's a cognitive dissonance where they can just disassociate the things they know from science or history or academics, and they just think, okay, well, this is true. Science, works in this realm, but in this one case with Muhammad and everything there, this is where the world becomes magic.
Yeah, exactly. And like
I did it with the Mormon Church too, though.
With all religions.
Yeah, but especially in Islam, because look, one thing you can say about Muslims. See, so what I've noticed that. Most of like fundamentalist Christians, they reject science like outright. So they don't believe in evolution. They don't believe in the Big Bang. Muslims don't do that. Muslims believe in science, like they really do believe in science, but they try to co-opt it into Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So they do believe in some areas of evolution. They do believe that the Earth is not. A lot of Muslims know, or at least a lot of like college-educated Muslims or people who know something like professional, like doctors, engineers, or whatever, Muslims, they do know that the Earth is not 10,000 years old.
They even corrected me because I believed it was 6,000 years old as a Mormon, and then when I converted to Islam, I had them correcting me to tell me that it wasn't 6,000 years old. So
yeah, and they know that the universe is like larger than what people thought. They know all of that, but they try to co-opt it into Islam. They try to find something in Islam that covers that.
But if that's true, why is it that in Islamic states there's so little development of science?
That's just because the people are stupid, I think. Especially in like in Saudi Arabia or
because you're not allowed to question it. It's all down to Allah. It's Allah did it, or that's it.
We have the same problem in South America actually with Latinos.
So you can't question. You can't. How can you say that anything but Allah did it? So why would you have to investigate anything in sciences?
Yeah,
because all your questions are answered by the Quran or Hadith or Allah.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, and like you said, the option is never introduced. You have no idea how important that is. Just the option, just the idea, like, hey, maybe that's bullshit.
That's true.
Did you think about that? No one thinks about it. No one even entertain. Dude, there's nothing to entertain because the idea is not even present. The idea is non-existent. You just have to imagine that because actually I think that's very important. The idea that the option of atheism or the option that maybe this is whole bullshit, it's not even remotely in the bubble that Muslims live in. The option is never considered for once. Even if you're not religious, even if you're a fucking degenerate, dude, I would ride with drug dealers. We would go to like a police checkpoint, and once we cleared it, he would stop at the next mosque and go pray and put like 500 pounds in a like the charity box, like the donation box there. So here's a guy who killed people. He trafficked in drugs in large amounts. He never prays. He basically has nothing to do with Islam. But the idea never entered his head to just say, maybe there's nothing. He do believe in Allah, but he doesn't follow the traditions. Dude, I knew people who like fucking like criminals, and they would pray like 5 times a day because they're doing the most horrific shit that you can imagine, but they pray because the idea that is never introduced to them that maybe the life you're living now is not because you're a bad person. Oh, you're a bad person, but maybe the life that you're living now is not related to Allah. Maybe Allah doesn't exist. That's not even in remotely something that people think about. So like I said, you'll find people, my whole family, no one in my family hasn't graduated college. They are all college educated. But if you even like, I actually thought a lot about doing it. I just want to sit one of them down and just introduce the idea to them. Did you ever think that there is no God? I just want to know what will happen, because I guarantee you some of them could have like a mental breakdown right there. Their mind would not even like handle the stress of the idea, because people live in like 20, 30 years and they just believe something to be like second nature. So that's why I think the internet is so important. I think the internet will kill religion and Islam specifically, because people get on the internet and they get introduced to the idea, hey, there's people that used to be Muslims and now they're not. What's up with that? And they hear just the idea that there's no God. And I think it will happen, maybe not in our lifetimes, but I think it will happen. The internet will kill religion eventually.
Well, I remember hearing Lawrence Krauss. He said once that it is possible for religion in an entire society to just basically lose entire belief in one generation. And I completely agree with him. And there are even examples of that happening. For example, in Japan, it was pretty much within 1 or 2 generations that religion just completely depleted out of society. I know people can throw statistics my way. It's like, well, you know, most of Japan is actually Buddhist and Shinto. Actually talk with a Japanese person and ask them how, even if they identify as Buddhist or Shinto or both, how much they like literally believe it. And I've never yet met a Japanese person, even while I was living there. I'll ask them, are you Buddhist? And they're like, yeah. Are you Shinto? Oh, I think so. Like, well, do you believe in it, you know, to any like literal degree? No, not at all. Nothing. You know, not they. Sometimes I ask people like, are you Buddhist? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what kind of Buddhist? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
So you just look at it like a cultural thing. Not
completely cultural. All religion is to them is that twice a year they go to a Buddhist temple, they throw a coin at a temple, and they clap their hands a few times and they pray. But it's totally like just a cultural thing.
Yeah, man. I think when it happens, it's gonna be like a snowball effect. I think once the idea and I actually think that you have a better chance with countries like Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Morocco, Tunisia. Those countries that are more on the like liberal, like moderate, or like more advanced side of things. If those countries, like, if you introduce like 10% of the people in those countries become like atheists, or just like you said, adopt like a more cultural like understanding of Islam, it's gonna go off like I said, so it's gonna be like a snowball effect because
I think you're right, because especially like, for example, if you live in a society like you said where 0% of the people around you ever question religion, you're almost impossible that you will. You might, it could happen, but it's so unlikely. But on the other hand, if not only are there atheists around you, but let's say 50% are atheists, that means you're very likely to run into them, to talk with them, to debate them, to hear their arguments. And that it will always make you like them, but it definitely improves the chances of that happening.
Oh yeah, and look, I always like compare it to the idea of, it's just like a stupid idea, but it works. Have you ever considered that we are made of gold inside? No one considered that because the idea was never introduced to you. Have you considered that humans are like made of solid gold on the inside? No one even entertains that idea because it was never even talked about. This is the idea of religion or Islam in Egypt, for example. The idea that God doesn't even exist is not even conceivable, or no one even think about it, or even
what would happen in Egypt if you were just at a bar or at a restaurant and you just said pretty out loud, like somebody asked you just said, "I don't believe in Allah, I'm an atheist." What would happen?
Look, it depends on where you are and the type of neighborhood you're in. So I actually had that happen to me. I was right in front of a mosque. Me and a friend of mine were sitting like in a small coffee shop, small cafe on like the sidewalk, and it was Friday, and the Friday prayers were like in. So when the Friday prayers are happening, not too many people on the street because it gets like blocked. So people stop going out on Friday afternoon because people park just anywhere and just get out of their cars and start praying. It's the whole thing. So we were sitting, we were talking, and the guy, my friend, me and him were just arguing about the whole like praying thing and does it work, and the whole like women are just like half men kind of bullshit. So he was like pushing me. He's like, "Dude, are you a fucking kafir or something? How could you?" And he just kept saying that. And actually, that people keep saying that to me all my life because I always had like no. So people just say it jokingly, but they would say, "Dude, are you a fucking kafir or something? How could you say that?" So without me knowing that there was some guy sitting next to us, who heard the conversation, and he basically didn't like what I said. So the fucker waited till the prayer was done. Thousands of people started pouring out of the mosque. It was a big mosque. Then he just stood up in the middle of the thing, and he said he started reading saying Quran shit, and he started saying may God guide you, you're a fucking you're a demon, you're trying to corrupt people, and start talking to each other. It's just like, dude, can you just calm the fuck down a minute because there's people around? What are you? Just stood up in the middle of the thing, start raising his voice. Then when the people were coming out, he just said the magic word. This guy's a fucking kafir. He just said this about Muhammad, and he just said this about it. And people swarmed the place that we were in. Me and the guy, I don't know how we got out of there, but we were almost beaten to death that day.
That sounds you could really you could die in that situation, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, at least you get you get the shit kicked out of you. I mean, really.
Did people start hitting you in that situation?
Especially in that mob mentality situation, because it's not just you and two guys or you or one guy or something. People who had no idea what's going on, especially Egyptians, they love just chiming in anything. So if there's if they caught a robber or something, and you just start dragging him through the streets, and everyone just passing by would just give him just punch him in the face, kick him, whatever, and just go out and continue with their day as if nothing happened.
So I'm kind of
Egyptians live like
I'm kind of curious though. How do you explain the phenomenon that I bet if you individually ask the people in that mosque, is Islam a religion of peace? Is Islam peaceful? They would. I'm sure like every single one of them might say yes, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
you know who's gonna say no?
Who?
You know who's gonna say no? The guys that know most about Islam. The really like Islamist guy, they will say no, it's not about.
But let's say like, but the average person in that mosque, they're gonna tell me like Islam is peaceful.
Oh so yeah.
How do you explain? How do you explain that those people can hold that belief? Like they think Islam is peaceful. They think Islam means peace, blah, the whole trope, blah blah blah. Then they're in the mosque, they're praying to God, this God that they think is loving and peaceful. Then they come out and some guy yells at you, "You're a Kuffar," and then they want to hit you and attack you violently. How do you explain that?
They don't think it's not. Muslims know it's violent. All Muslims know Islam is violent. That's what they tell the non-believers, the Kuffar. That's what they say. But everyone knows it's violent. Everyone knows it doesn't mean peace. It's just that's just lip service. Muslims lie. They lie.
And one other thing. They believe in order to really Islam be about peace, everyone should be Muslim first.
Exactly. It'll be peaceful as long as everyone's Muslim.
Yeah. If there's no other people than Muslims,
there are conditions.
What?
Yeah. Sharia has to be spread across the world, behind closed doors, everywhere. That's what they say. Sharia has to be across the world. That's the end goal.
And look, if everyone converted to Islam and Sharia was fully implemented, then there would be like no one would everything would be cool. It would be like heaven on earth. And of course that doesn't happen because you have Saudi Arabia. It doesn't have one atheist, one Jew, one Christian. It doesn't have anything. Sharia is fully implemented.
Or women's rights.
And it's the worst fucking shithole you can imagine living in. Really, I'm serious. So I know a lot of people that live in Saudi Arabia, like relatives and stuff, because they go to work there because of a lot of money and stuff. And I would never go there. They paid me like all the money in the entire universe. I would never go to Saudi Arabia.
It's worse than. In what ways is it worse than Egypt? Like, what are the elements about?
Oh yeah, man, dude, you can do it. You can do whatever you want in Egypt, man. You can do anything. You can get drunk. You can have sex. You can have music. You can go to the movies. You can live. In Saudi Arabia, you can't do shit. You can't do anything.
From what I understand, in Saudi Arabia, like. I've never been to Saudi Arabia, but I've had friends who've been there for work, and they tell me, for example, if you go to a mall in Saudi Arabia, like it's very, for the most part, especially in the capital, it's extremely rich country. So they tell me like if you go to a mall in Saudi Arabia, you'll find every like luxurious kind of clothing store, Dolce & Gabbana that you can find, but
you can't wear them.
But there's no movie theater.
And you can't wear the clothes, man.
And you can't wear the clothes.
And there's no music playing.
Yeah, there's no music playing. There's no movie theaters. There's no
movie theaters. No coffee shops.
Wait, but there is in the compound there is, because I've been in Saudi.
But that's not. But we're not talking about the compounds though. The military.
But it's completely different.
No,
it's not even the military compounds. It's the ones for Saudi Aramco.
Well, okay, but no. Just
even there, they don't get away with stuff though. Even on the compounds.
Right. Yeah. But no. We're talking about like for regular people.
Yeah, and,
I'm a regular person. Thanks a lot.
No, you're not, man.
An ex-Mormon, ex-Muslim is a super regular person.
Just like everybody else.
Just like everybody else.
Oh, man. Saudi Arabia is like the worst place on the planet because at least North Korea, they can smoke weed. Saudi Arabia has nothing, man. They have nothing.
That really sucks. Poor guys.
Yeah, man. The people there actually there is religious police in Saudi Arabia. Can you imagine that? Police people go out on the street and would like beat you up if there is a prayer going on and you're just standing on the streets, not in the mosque. They'll give you shit.
Well, there was just a documentary about from PBS about Saudi Arabia
Dude, yeah,
unveiled or something,
yeah.
or revealed or
Oh
something,
yeah,
something like that.
that's the one I was telling you about.
Yeah, but it shows
Jenny.
like these guys who are just like kind of religious police that just walk around, like they showed them in malls and or in supermarkets, and if they just see a woman dressed in a way they kind of don't like, showing a little bit of his skin in a way they don't like, or if for just any reason they'll just
Dude,
push
not
them and
skin.
kick them.
People would think she was showing cleavage or something. No, no, no. If she's showing like a piece of her hair on the top of her head,
You
or
can't
if her
show
like mouth
your hair, not even a
or
strand.
face, yeah, if your face is not covered, dude, you can be walking in the mall with your fucking wife, and some dude can come out, just drag your wife by her hair through the mall, and you can say nothing.
What?
Yeah, I would commit suicide on the spot, man. I would die if some fucking guy put
Why
his
can't
hand
they
on
do
my
anything?
wife.
Like, what if they did something? What would happen? They could get killed. They could go to
They
get
would get
arrested.
arrested, beaten up,
Arrested, probably,
like
yeah.
jail. They would get fired. They would get It was like because women has no value there, so you can do whatever. So
But the same thing happened in the UK, like in Dewsbury, when that man like grabbed me because I didn't have my face covered and spat on right near my ex, and he didn't say a damn thing to that man, and pushed me around and told me I needed my face covered. It's very masculine for a man, but I don't know why they would just take that. That's your
and
wife.
tell him about the stoning, man. Your husband was with you, right?
Oh, yeah, in Pakistan. Women aren't even supposed to be able to take part in it, but because I was a convert and I was being made an example was being made out of me, they forced me to take part in it. And he didn't say anything. He didn't say no. He didn't say that I shouldn't do it. He didn't take part in it, but I had to.
Yeah,
And this was a woman
so
for
basically,
adultery.
your husband is there, and some other dude is just ordering you around, pushing you around, yelling
And
at
he said
you,
nothing.
and
Not
he's
a thing.
like standing there with his dick in his hand, saying nothing. Yeah.
Wait,
And
that's
watched me have to throw a
wait,
stone at a woman that was still alive.
Hold on. Let's backtrack. Where are you, and what country are you in?
Pakistan.
So you're in Pakistan, and you're married.
Mhm.
You were at this time. During this time, you were married to a Muslim man, right?
Yes.
Who he
She
is
was
Pakistani?
Muslim.
Back when she was a Muslim, yes. But
Yeah.
so you're in Pakistan. You're with your Muslim husband who is Pakistani. Right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so he's Pakistani. He's your husband. You're Muslim during this time. And where are you that a stoning is occurring?
It was a little village, Gujar.
Okay. And so what was happening? There was just out of the blue, there was the stoning started happening, or what happened? How did you get there?
No, we had been there for several weeks, visiting his family. They weren't very nice people. I remember that. And the woman had been accused of adultery, and I don't know what happened to the man. I just know that there was a big, gigantic, like, mob melee. Somebody started yelling, and then everyone just rushed on her. And before I knew it, she was getting stones thrown at her. I mean, she was beat up. She was cut up. She was half unconscious. And then they just dragged her and started throwing stones until she died. And
they wanted you to participate?
Yeah.
And how did they do that? Did they give you a stone? Did they?
Yeah, they have it like they're on the ground. It's like a pile, and people who walk by throw stones. Anyone that wants to, and it's looked upon badly, at least in this area. I don't know how it is everywhere else, but if you don't throw one, you're looked at badly. Like, you have to participate. You don't have a choice. So
is that kind of the idea of like shared culpability a little bit?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
but
from that, yeah.
Women aren't supposed to, as far as I know, right, Pharaoh? Women aren't supposed to ever participate in it.
I think so, yeah. It's able-bodied men only, yeah.
Yeah, but...
So why did they want you to do it?
Because I don't know. I think maybe because I was a convert, a white person, they were holding me up, being made an example. There was a lot of whispers about me, that I wasn't a real Muslim, that I was there to cause trouble, I was a Jewish plant. All these other things, like I heard terrible things all the time, so I don't know whether they were testing me or whether, but I was told that if I didn't do it, then I could be the next one. For,
Look,
it was all very.
I can like tell you what they were thinking. They were basically fucking with her head and at the same time intimidating her. So there was basically the statement was, look, whore, this is what we're gonna do to you if you just like it's like that. This is what's coming to you if you get the idea. So they wanted to like basically intimidate her or like make her participate to feel that she murdered someone because they had sex, because in their head she's white, she's not a real Muslim, she's a convert. I guarantee you 99% of them thought that she was a whore.
Yeah. Oh, I was already called a whore on a regular basis.
Literally, not just like a slut. No, a whore. In their mind, she's a whore. She's actually could fuck any man who just come up to her and say anything.
Is that because of the perception that Western women are whores? Is that where it comes from?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All of them.
All of
not
them.
all doesn't apply.
It doesn't matter if you're a grandma, you're a little girl, you're a teenager. If you're a woman and you're Western, you're a whore. That just comes with the territory.
But I have to live, like, for the rest of my life, I have to live with the look on that woman's face. It wasn't, it wasn't a little rock, it was a big rock, and she was still alive, and I made eye contact with that woman, and I never talk about this because it is so fucking hard to think about or to remember. I have nightmares about it still.
I imagine this woman died, right? This woman
died. Yeah. Right then and there. And it happened so fast, I didn't know what was going on. Nobody explained it to me. My ex said, just do whatever they say. Don't ask any questions. Just do it. And he didn't protect me, and so now I live with that for the rest of my life.
Did that come from the fact that he was scared that might happen to you if you didn't participate?
Yeah, although this is before he was super extreme too. Actually, it was this trip and our times like living in Pakistan that got him to be really extreme. But this was before, so he was mortified. But later on, he would wish death on me. So that's a whole nother.
I think the people, when they talk about Sharia, even like right-wing people in like the West, when they're talking about creeping Sharia and shit, they have no idea what Sharia is, because they know, for example, that they cut people's hands off or something, but like Jenny here said, they don't consider the emotional side. For example, I know what she's been through because I know that when people are dying, the worst thing that, I don't know if that was the case in your case, they're breathing. You remember their breathing. You remember them not being able to breathe. And especially in stoning, I imagine her head was like, basically stoning is, they're not stoning your body. They're stoning
just your head. It's just the head.
They're smashing your brains out with a rock, and you're still alive.
Oh, and if they start to pass out, they wake them up.
Oh yeah.
What?
Because
yes.
Oh yeah.
How? Like they just start shaking them? What do they
Sometimes
do?
they'll like get them a little wet or hitting them or slapping them around to wake them up. But they make sure that they're still awake.
Because if you're passing, someone would think that you're dead and you're just passing out. We can't have that. We have to make sure.
Do stonings occur in Egypt, Joe?
No, they never did actually. No.
Okay.
No. Even back then, when like the heyday of Islamic conquest and certain stuff,
stoning was not part of the tradition.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Not just stoning. The whole Sharia thing is like not existent here in Egypt. People tried.
The Muslim Brotherhood.
For example, when the Muslim Brotherhood was in power, the Muslim Brotherhood didn't push for that because they know that the West is watching them. And they have interests in America and Europe, and they have like organization and shit. What people don't realize that the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't have to do anything, because they have friends. So they have a big like Salafi follow in Egypt, for example. They used to do all that horrific shit. So they tried. They actually started in some like rural areas in Egypt, in like the south or in the country or wherever. They started forming the religious police kind of thing in Saudi Arabia. They would like two guys would be like on a motorcycle and just start like going around, ordering people to like shut their like stores or shops when there's prayer or something. They started doing the crazy shit, and they actually murdered a guy in Suez, the city where Suez Canal is. They
The
murdered the
short
guy
story.
just because he was walking down the street with his girlfriend holding hands. So they stopped him, gave him shit. The guy, of course, didn't take it. So they cut him up with like two like machetes right there in the middle of the day in like the biggest street in Suez. So that was it. When that guy got murdered and his girlfriend went on TV and started crying, describing what they did, that they started chopping him off and stuff. People like, no, we don't do that, and people start like waking up. That was like
How
one
long
of
ago was
the
that? When was
that
this?
was when Morsi was in power. So I think it
Ah,
was
okay.
2012. Yeah,
Okay.
it was 2012. They started doing videos, like you see the ISIS videos of them like doing parades in the streets with like convoys of like Toyotas and ISIS flags, and started doing all of that. And of course, when your president is basically like conspiring with them, no one did anything to them. So he had to go because was gonna get ugly. So, for example, I told that before. One of also the biggest things that made like Egyptians wake up. Uh, there was a case in front of the Egypt that the like the highest court in Egypt, the Supreme Constitutional Court, about the election that Morsi won. That was some kind of a thing that was gonna like cancel the results of the election. And the Muslim Brotherhood supporters and the Salafi supporters, they would do that a lot actually. They gathered around the court and stopped the judges from coming in to like issue the ruling. And the police, when they saw it on TV, so the guy, like the police chief in that area, he's gonna go like do something about it because that's the Supreme Court. It's like the biggest court in the country. So the president called him while he's on his way with his like riot police guys and stopped him. Told him not to do anything. Just leave him. So that you see, this is the problem with the like the Muslim Brotherhood in power. It's not like they do actively do shit. They just could stand back and do nothing, and everything would be like 10 times worse. So yeah, so like I said, people don't understand what Sharia means. They just think of it like a concept or something. But it's actually one of the worst things that you can imagine. Because can you imagine cutting someone's hand when they're alive? They're still awake, and you're cutting their hands. It's like it's not something people think about. There's a lot of people without one hand in Saudi Arabia, a lot. Like people get their hands cut off for nothing, just for stealing like a loaf of bread. Sometimes they didn't even steal anything. Just someone said you stole something, and no evidence, no nothing. All you need is 4 men to say that you stole something. That's it. That's a guaranteed guilty verdict. There's no
Not to mention, in
evidence.
Sharia, women aren't worth as much. I mean, their testimony is not worth as much as,
Oh
as a
yeah,
man. So it's totally equitable for
it's
women.
worth,
Fair.
yeah, it's worth half. It's worth half. So you can if you need the testimony of 2 men, you can have the testimony of 4 women or 1 man and 2 women. And look, this is awesome. So the explanation behind this, when people ask why does women worth half a testimony of a man, the explanation is, get this, because women have half a brain, so they forget easily. So the other woman is there just because one of them forgot something, the other one would remind her. So
Silly
their two
me.
brains, yeah, their 2 brains put together equals one like functional human brain.
So women have literally half their head has the brain of a man.
Oh yeah, that's
Well,
literally what
that's
they say.
scientifically proven. Don't you guys Google?
Yeah, it's like there is a hadith, or I think it was a Quranic verse or a hadith, I don't remember, that women ناقصات عقل ودين, I don't know how to like translate, but basically it means they are religiously and mentally deficient. It literally says that.
Well, that's why
It's
men
not
have to discipline women. That's why it says that you're supposed to hit them lightly. They need to be disciplined because the woman, the soul of the woman is dependent on her husband or her male family member, so they have to keep them in line.
Dude, not just that. They literally say, you really do say that you know when you have a horse and you want him to go in a certain way but he doesn't want to, you just give him a tap to just focus.
Yes.
No. They say that about women.
Wait, who says this about women?
Everybody. That any imam, any sheikh, any like guy who like do like Quranic like shit, like a pastor or whatever. The explanation behind why you should hit your women is they would tell you that you know when you have like a sheep and some sheep and you just want them to go there or go there and they don't want to go, you just gotta hit them to get their attention. That's what they say about women, that you should hit her.
So wait, but Joe, let me ask you something. Since you were talking about like, you know, it's so improbable that somebody's gonna kind of not be in this belief when they're surrounded by it, but you don't believe any of this. You don't lack respect for women in this way from like the Quran and Islam. How is that? Like, how did that come?
Look, I think it had like two reasons. The first one, my mom, like from when I was young, she just taught me, or like that she instilled in me that I should like treat women like a gentleman, basically. That's like, there was the whole, even when I was like 4 years old, she would just let me like pull chairs to like my older, like, so my aunt or something, or like my cousins, I would open doors for them. She just taught me that from when I was young. So that was like, and I also believe that women are, if you want to like eliminate like the whole religion or Islam thing, you got to work on women, man, because women are hurting women. Because mothers teach their sons that if a girl like look at them or like wearing something, she's a whore. So when your mother tells you that when you were young, that's it. You're gonna treat women that they're whores for your entire life, and you're gonna resent your mom for it.
I kind of want to end it soon because we're already over an hour. I don't want to make the video too much over an hour, but I really want to go over what Pharaoh just pointed out, that one of the main proponents for misogyny in Islam towards
women
that put these misogynistic ideas in men's heads are women, because Mona Al-Tahawi this week just went on a like tirade against everyone on Twitter, you know, men, Western feminists, ex-Muslims, ex-Muslim women, everyone, and she said everybody needs to shut up and listen to Muslim women, everyone, and not ex-Muslim women, Muslim women. Wow. And I think that was incredibly ridiculous, considering that a lot of Muslim women are extremely fundamentalist or believe in Sharia and have a very, like, you know, misogynistic beliefs based in Islam.
Most misogynistic people in the Middle East are women.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt that's true.
Yeah, if you're a woman, your worst enemy is a woman in Egypt.
Well, even Ayan, if you've read her books, especially her first one, Infidel, when she was growing up as a Muslim, she said this many times, that many of the proponents of violence against women would come from other women. When a woman was called let's say a woman was beaten for being a whore, it was because the woman around that woman would tell the men, you know, called her a whore and would try to get her in trouble. So you would get a lot of this this victim violence against women would come from other women. So the idea is that we just need to shut up and listen to Muslim women is an insanity.
Then they're all brainwashed.
The whole temple of like the patriarchy in the Middle East is held up by women. They are the ones instilling these ideas in their sons and their daughters, because men in the Middle East stopped like talking about that shit a long time ago. So there's no man teaching his girl not to be a whore. That doesn't happen. No man in the Middle East is teaching his son that women are whores. I'm serious. No one, for the most part at least, women are doing that. So women take the girls to get their like clitoris is cut. Women are teaching girls that without the virginity they're nothing, literally worse than nothing. So you can be dead better than being not being not a virgin.
I mean,
so
even if we talk like outside the Middle East and Islam, especially in these last like let's say 10 years for me, that basically leaving college because I'm 35. So in the last 10 years I left college, they say 25 to 35, and I've been, let's say, in the workforce, right? I've worked in offices and around groups of women and men. It's really become clearer and clearer to me that the worst harassment and humiliation and shaming towards women comes from other women. Mm-hmm. And that is so clear to me. And I don't know why it's spoken this kind of strange way that all harassment and shaming comes from men. I think it's because these people are in college, and all they know about the interaction between men and women is what they see in parties.
No.
But if you get older, you see that I have friends who really suffer from this, like emotional trauma from this.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm going to say. The physical harassment comes from men. The mental harassment comes from women.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and even the physical harassment that comes from men comes from women, because they were raised by their mothers telling them that women, that if a girl like wears a certain thing or talks a certain way, she's a whore.
They're preoccupied with sex. I mean, even when you're in niqab, I still got my ass pinched going to the bazaars and stuff, but everyone's preoccupied with sex. It doesn't matter if they know there's a female under there. It's like, oh my gosh. But that's because of the culture and the religion.
Yeah, and going back to your question, Lalo, about what made me like not believe in that, the other thing, other than my mom just teaching me how to treat women in general, I think I was born that way. I think some people just born not buying bullshit, basically. I as far as I can remember, even I was like 3 years old, I always I had so much shit like given to me over the years because I was never like compliant in anything. So if anyone just told me to do something, I would like have questions immediately about anything. So I think that's it. I think that helped me a lot, because if I wasn't like that, it would have taken me a lot more time and a lot more work and a lot more like basically like struggle to realize that this is the whole Islam thing is not real. But I think it helped that I was born having this like why questions. Just ask questions about anything.
So, well, I believe that. I believe that everybody. I mean, people like to say we're all born equal. In a way, that's true, but in a way, we are born different, and we're wired a bit differently. Like some people have aptitude for music. I have no aptitude for music. I would have loved to have like been able to play music. I've tried many times, but my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at music. And I think also the idea of skepticism and questioning things is also something that some people have more ingrained in them at birth than other people. Yeah. That's very evident to me. Yeah.
Yeah, because like for example, my father tried everything you can imagine to get me to be like more religious. Everything. He tried intimidation. He beat me up. He tried bribing me. He tried treating me cool. He tried treating me like shit. He tried everything in the book to get me to pray. And I just wasn't having it. Like I told you, he would force me. He would basically tell me, you're not getting out of the house, you're not getting money, you're not getting the car. I would basically have like a date or going with my friends or something, just like going out the door. He would just force, like physically stop me from going outside unless I pray right in front of him. And I was so stubborn that like I was telling you, I was doing the work. I was already getting up and down. So might as well. Why didn't I just pray? Just say the Quranic shit and just do it. No, I would just keep singing in my head and just get up and down in front of him to convince him I was praying when I wasn't. So this is me. This is why I think it's like just a part of me. So other people are not like that. But other people, my family, my relatives, I have a lot of like cousins that are the same age as me. They all pray, they all go to the mosque with no effort. Their parents put no effort in it. They just suggested it and they accepted it. So I think, like you said, some people are just have more like a skepticism thing, or like more of a resistant personality than others. So I think that helped me a lot, and I actually very like lucky that I was born like that.
Well, I think we could talk a lot more about that. Next time, I want to talk more about the woman issue, because Mona Dahawi was kind of a, and it's weird because she says she's a liberal and she's a feminist, but she'll say like incredibly idiotic things like that about that all Muslim women should just be blanketly listened to and unquestioned. I find that very bizarre, and I'd like to talk more about the origin of misogyny also coming from women in the Middle East. And
Yeah.
also, like, we have to talk more with Jenn about her background, because we just heard, like, she's an ex-Mormon and she's an ex-Muslim, and already that's
She has,
stupid, I don't know.
and she has
pretty
like,
crazy.
oh yeah, she has some crazy stories about.
So this is what we want it to be, right? We want to hear the crazy stories of ex-Muslims. We're starting with Jenn and Pharaoh, but we want to invite like other ex-Muslims on too, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So if there are other ex-Muslims out there who want like I hate to use the word, but let's say a safe space to talk about their experiences. Well, we can talk, and we can have you on and see how we can have you on, because I know a lot of people, anonymity is an important issue for them at times. So, but I think it would be interesting to hear some of the crazy stories, and not just I used to believe and now I don't because I read a book on evolution. I think that can be really boring at times.
We all have the crazy stories, and it will be interesting to find out from different backgrounds how much of our experiences kind of intersect, and we have similar experiences but come from very, very, very backgrounds.
Yeah, because Egypt and Pakistan, for example, you and me couldn't be far from each other. They're completely different countries, completely different cultures. But the stories are, it's not just the stories, the people. The ideas are like incredibly similar. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Islam. That's the influence of Islam.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll wrap it up here. And for those listening, we're gonna do this. I don't know if every week, but at least every other week. We'll try to do another episode, because I think we have to do another one just between the three of us again, because there was just way too much to talk about.
Oh yeah.
And we need to get to Jenn as well. So thank you all for listening. The Twitter accounts for Pharaoh and for Jenn are in the description if you want to follow them on Twitter. And thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.